and let us all do we can to build a better future. Let's get started with our stories. We got to start off with the first story, and that is the importance of how Biden can win this. And look, the reason why I'm saying how Biden can win this is, again, this is a video from Case Study QB. Follow him on Twitter. Again, popular vote doesn't mean anything in this country. It's the Electoral College, so they're going to be talking about really the significance of certain states. And we'll see how this plays out for tomorrow. But let's play this video, see what these wonderful pundits are talking about, and let's try not to vomit with rage, because I got a follow-up video just to show the diehard vote blue no matter who people. This is your king? Okay, good luck. Let's play that first video.
But I do, because they both have paths, right? And I want to talk about Pennsylvania. And can you explain to anyone watching this morning, why is Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, so key this election?
Sure. I think this graphic will sort of tell the story. And what essentially it is, if you're looking for Joe Biden's path to 270 electoral votes, if you start off with the Clinton states, that gets you 232. Then you start moving through some other states, right? Wisconsin, where he's ahead by 9. Michigan, where he's ahead by 8. And then Pennsylvania, where he's ahead by 6. That gets him right to the 270 electoral vote mark. So that is a very, very key state. And that's why Pennsylvania is arguably the most important state.
Okay, but in an election of surprises, potentially, Arizona is also featuring prominently in your view. Tell us why.
Sure. So essentially, if let's just say Joe Biden does not win the state of Pennsylvania, right, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but he wins all the other states where he's leading by at least 4 points. You add in Arizona plus Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Oh, this is a different thing here. But essentially, just to talk about Arizona, if you add in Arizona plus Nebraska's 2nd congressional district plus Wisconsin plus Michigan and all the Clinton states, you get Joe Biden to exactly 270 electoral votes, even if he loses in Pennsylvania. So Arizona is a second pathway potentially for Joe Biden to get to 270 electoral votes.
Harry, can you talk about why it may be difficult for the polls in both Arizona and Pennsylvania to be wrong?
Yeah, so this is rather interesting, right? What do we know about polling errors? We know that they tend to be correlated across regions and they tend to be correlated across demographics. And what we know about Arizona and Pennsylvania is not only are they in different regions, but they have different demographics, right? We know that white voters without a college degree are much more important in Pennsylvania. We know Hispanic voters are much more important in Arizona. And we also know that Arizona is a much more urban suburban state, as you see on your screen right here. And so usually when poll misses occur, they tend to occur across similar states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, not Arizona, which looks a lot different than Pennsylvania.
All right, so before we play our second video, because I just want to add my comments, Daniel, real quick.
Yeah, so if you've heard me talk about Rules for Rulers before and you were part of the Patreon group or you've just seen the video, listen literally how they're describing the groups that are needed. It's exactly the same way.
And it's interesting to point out, too, that, again, the Biden campaign, they need certain groups of people. Remember, this is the same campaign that casts aside progressives and independents and people who were against the DNC establishment. This is the same campaign that only just a few weeks ago, started to reach out to Latino voters, young people, people who were part of the Bernie Sanders campaign, and so much more. I mean, it's ridiculous and embarrassing to really see just how the DNC establishment is playing catch-up. And the fact that Biden could potentially win this, because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of polling data that's showing that he has this in the bag. But I'm looking at the live stream chat too, and everyone's saying this looks like deja vu all over again, 2016, because we cannot forget this is the same corporate media, the same pundits, the same people like Nate Silver and all these other people who were saying that Hillary Clinton had this in the bag and that she was going to win. Don't be surprised and don't underestimate Donald Trump of him getting reelected, because that could happen. But then again, too, the vote blue no matter who crowd are probably going to be raging and foaming at the mouth. But this is their champion. This is their king, Biden, who they wanted. You know, even if he does get elected, hey, vote blue no matter who, people. There's countless videos of Biden making himself look like a buffoon, very similar to George Bush Jr. Take, for example, this video. Here's your king, ladies and gentlemen.
I never believed it would be this much in jeopardy. We launched our campaign over on the Oval back in May 9, 2019. But you know what I said then, we've been through a lot since then.
Yeah.
I never believed it would be this much.
Let's pause that. Oh yeah, Biden, we certainly have been.
We've been through full sentences before, and we could do it again.
Yes, and exactly. Here's the thing. it's going to matter who's going to turn out to vote. And chances are, I would not underestimate Trump supporters and Republican voters for turning out to vote in person on November 3rd. There's been and here's the thing: different states had different rules and regulations for those mail-in ballots. I think there is a concern that some of these mail-in ballots may be cast aside because if they're not filled out properly, that's done. And there's some mail-in ballots that will probably still be going on even weeks after the November 3rd election.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how tomorrow's going to play out. It could be a repeat of 2016 and everyone's screaming and having a meltdown. We're going to be drinking and covering the election, and we'll also be on a few other live streams as well.
So yeah,
but,
tune in tomorrow.
yeah.
It's same time, but later and crazier.
Yes, and it's just the fact that right now there's a lot of overconfidence in the Democratic Party really should warn everyone. Everyone should mentally prepare yourselves for this election night to go a completely other way. I will not underestimate Donald Trump or the Republican Party. And remember, we said this on the show before as well, that Democrats, the DNC is very good at rigging primaries, but the GOP are professionals at rigging general elections. And this general election right now, with this pandemic, with this housing crisis, with these mail-in ballots, this is a recipe for disaster. And this is what happens when you have a country that doesn't have, election integrities. This is what happens when you have a country where money is speech and corporations are people. Jose, I want to get your commentary on this.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona, Pennsylvania, general voters. I think it'd be crazy if Joe Biden won both states. Honestly, at this point, the Republican Party's pathway to victory is expunging hundreds of thousands of votes in many different counties and different states. And having their, Supreme Court justice help them, that they roughshod it through, help them legalize anything that they encounter. This is what they're prepared to do. At this point, a party that it can't stand on its own 2 feet and needs to sue to try to convince the public to undo the democratic process even further altogether really should just fold into the Democratic Party. And I think this past decade, it's been a fight between the Democrats and the Republicans about whose party is going to survive the future. And I think there was a lot of arrogance from the Democrats with Obama and Clinton coming in that it was going to be them. And Trump really made it seem like, they counted their chickens way too soon. But I think regardless of whether Trump successfully steals this or if Biden does, if there's an overwhelming popular vote, because what we're reading right now is that there's already over 90 million people that early voted. That's, and there might be a huge influx of Trump voters tomorrow. And I do think there's going to be arguments about, does the popular vote of the day of, should that take precedent, or these ballots that we're counting now take precedent? That's going to be a huge argument. But regardless, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is better off melding into a kind of Democrat-Republic Party. And Trump's not the person to lead those efforts. It's probably Joe Biden. That's just what I see, from all those numbers there. But the Republicans might steal it, and we get more of this game. So.
Yeah, so this goes to what I've been saying the last 4 months. My entire focus is how well will the Republicans steal the election? How much are they going to do to hit these ballots? We have a story coming up that has an update from after I posted it. But if Republicans are able to mess with enough mail-in ballots, they win. If they aren't able to, I think a little bit clear that it will be Biden.
Yes. So,
and Kit did a wonderful interview that'll be on Rockfin that talks a little bit more about this as well. But, I think a lot of people that watch our show are people that realize that both parties are equally corrosive. Just in their own way. It's Trump is the guy at a bar that maliciously gropes people, and Biden's the completely intoxicated guy that pretends to accidentally grope people. It's which one do you want? Both are terrible. Both should be kicked out of the bar, but someone needs to wear the hat. So Someone has to wear the hat. And there's no good way. We're going to continue declining as a country,
I actually wanna end this
regardless of
story
who
on a good note,
wins
though.
on this. It's going to suck, but at least we're going to be able to, like, it's been, I got to tell you, just from behind the scenes dealing with all this election, it's been so annoying how much it's like we try to, like, not focus on stuff that 1,000 other places cover. I just want to be able to talk to you guys about something else than which inebriated, terrible person will win presidency. And at least tomorrow, hopefully, that'll happen.
So here's the thing. I want to end this story on a good note. The Democratic and Republican parties are friends with each other. They're owned by corporations. They'll never work for us. So diehard MAGA supporters, diehard Vote Blue no matter who, you're very good at being good puppets. But at the end of the day, the DNC and RNC are going to want to run their narrative, run their stories however which way they want. They're not going to have us at the table. We want real fundamental change. We as people have to step up. And that is why, in my opinion, we need to break away from the two-party system. We need to talk about supporting third parties, like the Movement for People's Party. I want to see what they're going to do. I'm very curious to see what the Green Party can possibly do, the Libertarian Party. I want to see what organizations like DSA and Socialist Alternative will do, because we have to look at groups that are going to try and bring in change, and also, more importantly, we need to start calling for election integrity. We need to start calling to get money out of politics. We need to get actively involved. Don't rely on these politicians, because no matter how November 3rd turns out, the real people that will bring in change are the American people. And the largest voting bloc are non-voters and independent voters. It's time to step up and fight for that better future.
But